What's going on, everybody? Dylan Napoleon here in the heart of Manhattan, New York City, joined today by none other than Derek Moneyberg. Moneyberg, I really appreciate you giving me the opportunity to come out here to New York and get this interview in with you. You and I met at Glover Teixeira's gym back in Connecticut, my home state, just a few weeks ago. Here we are making this interview happen. I really appreciate it, man.
Sweet, man. Thanks for inviting me.
Absolutely. You're the one who invited me. But let me ask you, man, you got out here to New York. I know it's not too far from home for you. Been out here a few days. What's this trip been like for you, man?
Well, I go do a lot of client meetings on the weekend, so I love money, both because I grew up poor and I'm part Jewish. So I have every reason to love money. So it's my job to help my clients make some money. It's my job to make sure that I make some money. And I travel most weekends. So
Yeah.
I think of Vegas as home really, and I spend a good chunk of time in Chicago, and then I go travel wherever else I end up traveling throughout the year.
Would you say it's safe to say that New York has a lot of clientele for you?
Yeah, I mean, New York is actually have the most viewers on my social media, or is New York City.
Yeah.
Everywhere in the world is New York City, because obviously people that come to New York City, they migrate here. They're interested in Wall Street, finance, business. And it's just not a cheap place to live. So if you don't make some money, you can't live in New York City.
Right. So now that you're out here, you're meeting up with your clients. What does a day look like for you? Because I know you have a lot of clients. You got to meet with a whole bunch of them. What does one of those kind of days out here look like? A busy day, if you will. I know they're all busy.
I mean, I don't have any non-busy days. I always, it's half a joke, but also true that I think one of my secrets to happiness is that I don't think every day is supposed to run smooth and perfect,
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people end up with disappointed in life when they're like, oh, this thing happened, and they're surprised something happened. And every day I wake up and there's 3 things happened, and I got to fix them. And so I always think, and that's not a problem. If you don't have problems in your life, you're not trying very hard. So I think those are, you want high quality problems, not low quality problems.
Yeah.
So nothing wrong with having problems. But so yeah, my first. A little practice that I've had, I don't want to, I'm not into any of this hippie shit or, woo-woo, esoteric, metaphysics stuff. But I thought for over 20 years before I went to sleep at night, I think, what are the 3 most important things I have to do tomorrow? And one was always about money. It might be short-term money, it might be long-term money, but one was always finance-related. Yeah. And one was always relationship-based, of like, who's an important person in my life that I could help with something that is going to, build or grow our relationship, And the third is kind of whatever was top of mind that day, what seems important that day, whether it is or not, what's the thing that you've been thinking about today that we're going to fix that shit or make some progress on it tomorrow, And I did that every night. And I really did that. It's like I'm not religious at all, but it's like a religion to me that, every night before I go to bed, you spend 5 minutes, 10 minutes, you think about that. What's the most important money opportunity? What's the most important, relationship building opportunity? And what's the other most important thing we got to clean up tomorrow?
Yeah.
And then tomorrow comes, and I just kind of reflect on that for 3 minutes, 5 minutes. I don't jump out of bed and go do things. I'm not on anybody else's schedule. I'm on my schedule. Some people have a hard time understanding that because it's not the context of their life. And then, that's a good guiding light to me of like, all right, we're going to get those 3 things done today. But then while you sleep, life happens. So you got, just anybody, if you run a significant business or if you're involved in global markets, shit happens while you were sleeping. And now, there'll be some problem in the Middle East, or there'll be some other problem, tariffs, or whatever's happening. And so then, there's something good's happening or something bad's happening in the stock market. Somebody else wants my help. I got a couple other new things that I need to work on, but I also got to get those 3 things done from last night, So that kind of sets the tone for the day.
Absolutely.
But if I take a meeting, if I make a meeting with somebody, I always follow through. I don't cancel plans. If somebody cancels on me, I probably won't make plans with them again,
Fair enough. It's a good way to be. Obviously, Derek, here in New York is a lot of money. You like money, of course. I want to talk to you about the person you are, kind of your come up, if you will, and what kind of helped you develop into the person you are now. Back when maybe you were a little younger, I don't know, a couple years ago, however it worked out, but Was there ever like a time where you feel like your life changed in terms of money? Like, did one thing happen in the stock market and your financial kind of endeavors, and did anything like specifically change your life?
I mean, yeah, several things change your life, and it's not as pretty of an answer as you'd like me to give, but
Yeah.
you know, I was 7 when my father went to prison, and my uncle, and they were locked up. They had a 15-year sentence for drug trafficking. And then some weenie on the internet will say, "Your father was a drug trafficker." Yeah, no shit, I just said that. And you know, that's something that I'm ashamed of. Well, you know, I don't want to be a drug trafficker, and that's not how I spent my life. But you know, a few things that happened from that is when I was a young child, we were around some of the casino owners in Vegas. We were around some of the I don't need to say their names, but you know, high-level celebrity people, and you know, I seen, you know, he had a lot of money, and people treat you different when you have money and social status. People treat you different, and so I seen what poverty looked like, and I saw what that looked like, and I was like, hey, that shit looks better, but how could I do that in a way that's, you know, legal and sustainable, you know?
Yeah.
So I had that thought in my head since I was a child, and you know, those aren't fun things, but I think it made me think differently than other people around me, and other people were being kids and doing kid shit. And you know, by the time I was 7, you know, my aunt said when my father and my uncle went to prison, my aunt said to my mother, in front of my mother, she says to me that, you know, I was 7 years old. You're the man of the house now, and you need to go make some money and help your mother with things, you know.
Wow.
And you know, if it's laughable because at 7 years old, you know, I'm like a little child.
Yeah,
and
but that's a lot of pressure.
it felt that way, honestly. It felt
Yeah.
that way, and you know, but then later on, people. So you know, we could talk about the chronology of things, but you know, I was shoveling snow and cutting grass and raking leaves and walking dogs and washing cars and babysitting kids and cleaning houses and anything that a child could do to make a few dollars. I was trying to do that, you know.
Yeah.
So sometimes in my childhood, you know, we didn't have food, or you have like welfare food, and I hated that shit. I didn't like being hungry. I didn't like. I thought the welfare shit was embarrassing, and you know, I think that was a motivation. And again, somebody say like, you know, oh, you have a lot of negative motivation. Yeah, I do. Negative motivation is a lot stronger than. It's a lot stronger to move away from pain and misery than it is to, you know, say, oh, someday I'd like my life to be even better. You know, I think there's a lot of middle class people that we rub each other the wrong way, that I don't really respect them, and they're annoyed with me because they, you know, if you came from a third world country and you came to the United States and maybe you're driving a taxi here in Manhattan, I respect that guy a lot more than like a guy if you were born here and you're born into a middle class family and you have a land of opportunity around you. You have, you know, opportunities that other people dream of, and you didn't do shit with it, and you just lived your middle class life. I just think it's kind of weak sauce, man. I don't really respect those people. They get angry when I say that.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck.
That brings me to a point here. I didn't even just come up with this on the fly. I want to ask you this genuinely. What do you think is, like, from your point of view, you deal with a lot of people, you deal with a lot of finances, you deal with sports, jiu-jitsu, of course. What do you think is like the biggest problem in the world today? You know, what comes to mind when you think about that?
I think
Could be financial related.
Human ignorance, really, is. You have a lot of people, particularly in the United States, that they never traveled anywhere. They don't have any context for how things are in other countries. They don't have any sense of how great things are here.
Yeah.
And they like to complain a lot, you know. I'm not saying that's everybody, but there's a subset of the population in the U.S. They want to complain, you know, things aren't perfect. There's sexism and racism and this thing and that thing. That's everywhere in the world for all of human history. For all of human history. And by the way, there's some things that men are better at, and there's some things that women are better at. And there's some things that, you know, certain demographics of individuals are, they tend to excel at or not excel at so much. So I don't think that's just how the world is. It's just reality.
Yeah.
So when I hear people complain about the United States, I think, oh, you never read a history book or a philosophy book, huh? You never traveled anywhere. You don't really understand. I went to 66 countries, I think. Some of them 20 times.
Yeah.
And, you know, you have a sense of, well, this is how things are in other places in the world. And
Yeah.
the more I went to other places, the more I really appreciated the
Yeah.
United States.
100%.
We have a really special thing here.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think it's a self-imposed problem from a lot of individuals who are, they're just simply naive. They never went anywhere. They never learned anything about what happened in the world before them. And then they want to have an opinion like, you know, oh, this isn't right and that isn't right. Well, you know, you don't know shit. You haven't done shit. Go do something. You know, being an activist or a protester, it's a loser thing to do. Like, go do something that matters, and then you'll be able to contribute in a significant way.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, sometimes I hear people like kind of complain, like you said, about things that are going on here in the U.S., but then you just kind of think about other countries and some of the things they got to deal with, and it's like we're in a hell of a lot better situation than, you know, a lot of other places, you know? How about in terms of your financial stage? Do you think there was a time in your life where things just, like, did one thing click and kind of change financially for you, or not really? Or was it more of a build-up, if you will?
No, it's a slow grind, man. If you want to build anything big, sequoia trees, you know, if you go to Northern California, you ever see those big trees?
Yeah.
Maybe you have, maybe you haven't. But for those of you that have, they have these huge redwood trees. The biggest are called a sequoia tree. Some of them are so big that they can cut a chunk out of the tree and you can drive a car through it, and the tree still lives.
Strong,
you know?
yeah.
Yeah, they're 1,000 years old type of thing. The young ones are 400 years old. You know, how do we build one of those by Tuesday? How do we get one of them to be that size by Tuesday? There's all these skyscrapers out here in Manhattan. How can we build one of those this week? And so when somebody's thinking about how do I get a quick come up, it's like, well, you're probably going to stay broke, you know? You probably just, if that's how your brain's working, is how do I get something very quickly without putting in the effort to earn the thing, then you're probably going to stay broke. Nobody's going to do that, you know? And then, you know, regarding the jiu-jitsu, you know, I studied MMA, not just jiu-jitsu,
right.
And under Glover and Lyoto Machida, I have a green belt in Kempo, which is, you know, 2/3 of the way to black belt.
You're looking for that black belt too, I'm sure.
I'm gonna get my second black belt, you bitches. those of you that are haters, you're gonna hate me extra. And they can say as much as they want to, it's fake. But I can also go to the gym and roll with the guys that are, you know, 4th degree black belt, or, you know, young guys that are they just got their black belt, but they're professional fighters. I can move around with those guys just fine. I don't recall if you were watching any of the movements we were doing at the gym, and you can edit this however you want to, but.
No, I didn't.
I wish you did.
Yeah, I wish I did too. But next time for sure, because I know you'll be back in Danbury, Connecticut sometime.
I'll go back and see Glover.
Absolutely.
Glover comes to me mostly, but I'd be happy to go back there. And they got a great team. They got 20-some people, 23 people maybe on the professional team.
Yeah.
A lot of hardworking people there. Even the girls. There's girls at that gym that are working harder than most men are in the world. You know.
Yeah.
So a lot of respect for Glover. Alex Pereira just won his fight.
Yeah.
He looked amazing. Shout out to Alex. Shout out to Glover.
Yusri,
I just wrote him last night. I wrote him last night. He wrote
too.
me back. Shout out to Yusri as well. And Kaio over at that gym had been saying nice things to me for years.
You remember Regivaldo too? He was the one who asked you to be his mentor.
Yeah, he's in the course. He's taking my mentoring course right
he's
now.
taking the mentoring course, and he has a fight coming up too, LFA. He's fighting on the same card as Alex Pereira's sister. Super exciting fights.
Nice. I spoke with her a little bit, and, you know, through Kaio as a translator. And
I remember that.
She was asking questions about finance and how to, you know, how to think about investing our money the right way, so she can make something of it. So yeah, there's a lot of smart people over there, and a lot of people that are working hard, and. I respect those people, and I respect Glover and the things that he and the others have done there. There's a Q&A I did, and a guy asked like what I think about the gym, and I like, you know, your multiple world champions come from that gym, you know, so there's nothing there that's missing.
Right.
If the only thing that's missing is your own hard work. The only thing that's missing from your success in most cases is your own hard work, man. And you can say, oh, I didn't have perfect circumstances. I didn't either. In a lot of ways, that's an asset, you know?
100%.
A lot of ways, that's to your benefit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did Alex just had his 6th title, I think? Yeah. Did he grow up in perfect circumstances?
Absolutely not even close, man.
No.
Yeah. I mean, he doesn't even go into a lot of these fights with perfect circumstances. Dude's always banged up, hurt, never finds a reason to say no. You know what I mean?
No, I don't hear him complain. I don't understand Portuguese, but I never hear him complain.
I don't think he does complain much at all. When you were in Connecticut, you had a little run-in with Sean Strickland, a little vocal. I know, you know, publicly you made an announcement that you was going to court and stuff like that. How is that going right now? You know, I'm not asking for anything, you know, sensitive, if you will, but what's going on with that?
Sean's been served legal papers, and I don't need to go into all the details of it in a public thing. That's something that we do in the courtroom. But
Correct.
Sean's been served legal notice, and he knows what that is. And you know, he hasn't reached out. I offered at least 4 times, like a gentleman, because within, you know, I got my belt, and by the time I got off stage with, I said Glover Teixeira, Lyoto Machida, Frank Mir, and Jake Shields were with me when Jake presented me this belt. And by the time we got off, you know, done with that little presentation and took a little break, then I went back to my clients later. You know, Sean's on the internet saying a lot of things that are not true and disparaging. And then, you know, and I wrote him privately. I wrote him DMs privately. I said, you know, like, why? Like, you never met me before in your life. Like, take the time to come meet me. I asked you to do an interview with me at least twice. You never did. Take the time to come meet me and talk to me if you want to talk to me. But, like, why are you talking shit, you know? And I was very respectful. And, you know, and this continued. And I remained respectful throughout it. So at the time that we ran into each other in Connecticut, you know, the internet narrative is like, Sean Strickland confronted Derek Moneyberg. Like, I mean, I came to him, and I don't say I confronted him. I came to him and I said, you know, hey, you know, I hear you say my name a lot. Here we are together. You know, take a minute to come talk to me. And I was very respectful about it. I said, take a minute to come talk to me. You never met me in your life. You know, why you want to say all that?
Right.
And we had a little conversation in the hotel lobby. It's in a public place. We end up staying at the same hotel, and no, I said, you know, why? So you won't do an interview with me? You don't want to train with me? I've offered to come to your gym. I know the owner of the gym. I know the manager of the gym. I know the other guys at the gym. I've offered to come to your gym. I'd be happy to train with you in a respectful way. I'm sure there's something I could learn from him.
So you're willing to roll around with Sean Strickland and kind of show him, almost like not prove to him, but show him, you know, that you are legit and that maybe some of the things that he's been saying aren't true.
That's the communication we had at that time. But you know, but things have escalated since then. That he continues to talk shit, and he continues to talk shit. So at this moment, would I do that? No, we have a legal thing to resolve first.
But that was your intention.
It was my intention. So if you sincerely doubt that, then, you know, come see about it, like in a respectful way. I wasn't challenging him to a fight. I don't think I've beat him in an MMA fight. He's 12 years younger than me. He's a recent world champion. It wouldn't be fair for him to have to do a weight cut, so I wouldn't be fighting 185 Sean Strickland. I'd be fighting 225 Sean Strickland, because I'm not going to do a weight cut. So, you know, do I think I could beat him in an MMA fight? No, that's probably not true. It seems unlikely. I'd have to get lucky to do that. It seems unlikely. He should win that, you know, 19 out of 20 times, or maybe 99 out of 100 times in an MMA fight. That's how he spent his life. He's a world champion, and respect to him.
Yeah, 100%.
But you know what I did say to him. So you know, you don't want to do that. I said, I'm going back to Glover's gym. There's a 7 o'clock class. I'll be back at the gym at 7. There's an 8:15 class, and then we're doing private training afterwards. We're doing one-on-one. So like, come to the gym. Come to the gym tonight. And again, I'm saying that respectfully, not in like I'm challenging him to a fight. That wasn't the intention. I said, if you're sincere and you think that my belt's bullshit, like, come see about it.
Yeah, like, I'll put it on display type of deal. Like,
no, just come poke at me and see what you think.
Right. Put your
and again, I said it in a respectful way, in a way that, like, I'm sure there's something I could learn from the guy. I think all around he's a better fighter than me. I don't think all around he's a better grappler than me. And that's where that conversation went to. Is I said, look, man, if you really believe the shit that you're saying, we'll do a public match together. And we'll schedule it, you know. And I say schedule it because I'd have to do a fight camp like every professional fighter does.
Right.
I'd have to, you know, I trained for self-defense and I trained for fitness. Those are my goals. I wanted to be more fit, I wanted to be leaner, and I wanted to have good self-defense. And, you know, in a street fight, you have a 15-second or a 40-second confrontation, and that's how, you know, if you look at any of these street fight videos on the internet, like, that's what happens, you know. It's not 25 minutes long. It's not, you know, 3 5-minute rounds like UFC. That's not what a street fight is, okay? So if I did a professional match against a world champion professional fighter, I'd have to go do a, you know, 8-week or 10-week fight camp for that and get my cardio up. My cardio is fine for self-defense. My cardio is fine. Could I fight another guy my size? Could I fight an NFL guy or a bodybuilder guy or something my size? No problem. It'd be very bad for him. Can I fight a world champion that's my size? Well, he's not quite my size, but can I fight him? That's not realistic. He's training all the time. He's in better shape than I am. He's closer to fight shape. So if we did a fight camp, like every professional fighter does, if we did a fight camp, I'd need 8 or 10 weeks to get my cardio up, to get a few things smoothed out, and I'd be happy to take that match in the future. He seems disinterested in it. He's never said yes to that. He says, we'll sign the waiver and come through and we'll spar. So he's challenging me to an MMA fight at his gym. I just said I can't beat him in an MMA fight. I don't think that. And I said that to his face as well. Like, I don't mean to disrespect the guy. Actually, there's several things I like about him, and I think he's a talented fighter. There's some personality attributes that I like about him, of things he said under social pressure in different press conferences or whatnot that I think were funny and I think are true. And I said that to him. I've tried to be friendly with him, but he's attacked me so many times now, and he says so many things he's repeating lies and making up new lies that I'm like, all right, if that's what we got to do, then we'll go to court first, and if there's an opportunity that it makes sense for the two of us to do a grappling match in the future. I just said I don't think the guy could tap me in 5 minutes. So can I choke him and beat him up and blah blah? I don't know.
But you. I
don't think he could tap me in 5 minutes.
So what you're saying is that you're just confident that you'll survive and not get tapped in a 5-minute grappling match.
That's what I would say. If my black belt is bullshit, it should be easy for him to do that, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
If my black belt is bullshit and he's a world champion and he's had his black belt for over 10 years, it should be pretty easy for him to do that. If I'm a fraud or some of the other things that he says about me, it should be easy for him to do that.
Absolutely.
Easy money, Sean.
So I know there's a lot of other people out there other than Sean Strickland that want to see you compete. Like, I gotta ask you, man, what would it take? I mean, it's not just like when people have beef with you. Is there any other like real circumstance that people would get the opportunity to watch you put your skills on display for them, or not really?
Yeah, come train with me. If you're the
not like haters, like I'm just thinking like more like a super fight or something, like a big name, another big name, like
Dylan. Guys that have 300 followers write me and they challenge me to a super fight.
No,
super fight. I'm like, what are we gonna? What is that? What is super about that? No, I never started for competition. If you look at any video that I ever published in the last 4 years, I don't even know all the rules to the competition. Somebody will make fun of me for that. I don't care. I trained for self-defense. I trained for self-defense. I could defend myself quite well against most anyone.
Yeah.
I mean, some guy can walk up and hit you from behind or shoot you, or anything can happen. But in a hand-to-hand combat situation, I'm going to handle myself just great.
Mm-hmm. I know a lot of people who train just for like self-defense, but also the lifestyle of jiu-jitsu, and then there's also other people that compete. So you're more you're not trying to go out there and prove that you're the best, right? This is the grind, the journey to get your black belt, associating with great people and great coaches. That seems to be more of what you're worried about.
I'm 46 years old. That's almost 50. So what's the probability that I'm the best?
Right.
I'd rather be the best finance guy in the world than the best fighter in the world. There's a lot more benefits that go with that.
100%.
So it's not my job to. I don't need to defend my belt. My belt is an opinion from my coach, an opinion from an extension, my other coaches, and I know what I did, and they know what I did, and if nobody else knows, I don't really care. I think like this, and I don't want to dominate the conversation, but when some random schmuck writes a comment, I think, well, I mean, I don't have time to do that. I don't have time to attack people on the internet. I don't have time to respond to most of the people that attack me on the internet. So I think to myself, what would I pay for this guy's opinion? If I was hiring a consultant in this area, what would I pay for this guy's opinion? It's like, nothing. Well, then if he gives it to me for free, now I'm supposed to value it differently. Now it's more valuable because he also knows it's worth nothing, so he gives it to me for free. Like, no, his opinion is still worth nothing. Like, I don't care what a normal person thinks about me. Mm-hmm. I literally don't think of them at all. I don't care what a far below average person thinks. Like, I wish them well. I'm not mad at them. I hope they do better. But the way to do better is not going to be being mad at me. The way to do better is look at yourself and say, hey, what can I do today to enhance my circumstance? That's what this choose to conquer thing means. It's like, you could choose. It's a lifestyle choice. You could choose to overcome your current circumstances and earn better circumstances.
Yeah.
And I live that every day. That's why I wear these silly shirts every day. It's like every day I try to be a bit better, learn a few things, banish a little bit of my ignorance, and be better at the things that I care about in life. I don't care if, the people write me on the internet as if I should be scared to go outside, or they're gonna do this or they're gonna do that. So they're gonna do nothing. When somebody sees me outside, they say, Mr. Moneyberg, can I shake your hand, sir? Would you mind take a picture with me, sir? That's what they say when they see me in real life. And then sometimes they just stare at you like a weirdo, and then when you make eye contact back, then they put their head down and they fidget. And like, that's the type of guy that's making the nasty comment, is you don't even have the confidence to come say hello or like say something, Now, there's some confident guys, there's some normal guys out there that are good men, and they'll come up to me and they say, hey, I'm in the military, blah, blah, blah. I train a little jiu-jitsu myself. I seen about you. I say, hey, thank you for your service, sir. Good to meet you. What's your name? Where are you from? We talk for a minute or two. If I got time, I'll talk for a minute or two. If I'm at the fucking airport and I'm going to my jet, then I'm going to my jet, But if I've got a minute, I'll talk with them for a minute or two and shake their hand, take a picture if they want. No problem.
Yeah, that's how you were at Glover's gym the first day I met you,
I try to be nice to anybody that's nice to me.
Yeah.
But the way people talk on the internet, then they say, oh, you're disrespectful to my mother, you're disrespectful. I only made fun of haters and losers' mothers. So you self-identify it. If it was your mother, you think I'm talking about.
That first million, do you believe that that's one of the hardest to make in terms
of course. Yeah, of course. It's like they're the first anything, the first dollar is hard and so on. And then people say this thing about, like, what do I got to do before I get started? It's like, you just got to take inventory. You got to start now. You take inventory of your life and you say, well, here's the balance sheet of my life. Here's the assets and here's the liabilities. And we got to get rid of the liabilities and we got to add more assets. And you got to do that for the rest of your life. And if you don't want to do that, that's okay. Ayn Rand has a great quote. Ayn Rand said that you can ignore reality for a period of time, but you cannot ignore the consequences of ignoring reality. So you can tell yourself for another couple of years, like, oh, everything's great, everything's going to be good. And then one day you wake up broke, You got nothing. You don't have skills. You don't have knowledge. You don't have the ability to do anything. And then those type of people write me and they say, hey, this thing came up, my mother's surgery, can you give me $58,000? And I said, I wouldn't give you 58 cents. If you loved your mother, you would have been putting in the work in the years prior to now. Of course emergencies come up. And if you love your family, it's your job, especially as a man, if you love your family, it's your job to go develop skills, resources, friendships, and have the social and intellectual and financial resources available that you can solve problems.
Yeah.
And that doesn't happen accidentally. So if you're not willing to put in the work to do that, then live with the consequences.
Now, just a generic last question just came to mind for me. So if you hear a lot of people, I got to set around, 20,000, 50,000 aside to really start my financial growth, if you will, So I know for a guy who wants to, make tons of money, it can be a different number. But like the average Joe, let's say he works and he makes, I don't know, $80,000 or $100,000 a year. How much money you think that guy needs to set aside before he starts investing? Because I feel like one thing I learned about investing, and I don't invest right now, but I would like to in the future. One thing I learned is like, you can't take $200 and expect to make $1 million. You know what I mean? So what do you think is like the best way to start in terms of like, you think you need like 20,000, 50,000 set aside?
If that's what you got right now, is you got $200 and you want to be a millionaire, then you have to start with the knowledge and the education. So you have to, and probably until you get that first 100,000 or the first million, you need to be learning. I spent 9 years in universities, and I studied business in undergrad, and I studied business in graduate school. And I wanted to understand economics. I wanted to understand finance. I wanted to understand accounting. These are boring topics, by the way. They're very boring.
But you gotta
I think
know
they're
that
boring.
first.
But if you can't read financial statements, then you don't know what's happening inside of a business. Mm-hmm. I think they're very boring topics. No, Derek, I'm going to follow my passion. I'm going to be a dolphin trainer. All right, there's only so many dolphins in the world that need trained, and somebody will volunteer to do that for free. So what you're really saying is you're going to be broke,
Yeah.
No, Derek, my passion is video games. Okay. Hey, I'm not telling anybody else how to live their life, but if you want to make money, then you need to be thinking about the right things to make money. And you need to be building your intellect, you need to be building your social resources as well, and then you'll have financial resources. And if all you got is $200 right now, you know, you can buy fractional shares in the stock market. You can buy one share of this and one share of that. They don't even have commissions on the big platforms anymore, you know? So you can get an online account and buy a quarter share of something and a quarter share of something else and start paying attention to it. And over time, you'll learn more and you'll do more and you'll be more.
Yeah.
And if you procrastinate and you never do that, then later on, when an emergency comes up in your family, then, you know, you made the decision that your family member isn't going to have health care.
Yeah.
You made the decision that your wife is not going to have a safe car to drive. You made the decision that your son or your daughter can't have braces. You made the decision that you can't pay for equipment for them to participate in sports, and they're not going to be the cool kids or the fit kids in school. That was your choice in the past. Your lethargy in the past is going to lead to that type of an outcome. And, you know, if you've been a productive person in the past, that's led to the good things that happen to your life today. And if you continue to compound that productivity, you'll have fabulous things in the future. On the other end of that spectrum, if you've been lazy in the past and you're not happy with the outcomes you're experiencing now, if you don't change that, your outcomes will be compound and be even worse in the future.
Yeah.
And that's how life is, guys.
That's it. You heard it here from Derek Moneyberg. Moneyberg, I really appreciate the opportunity to come out here to New York, speak with you, and kind of pick your brain on a couple topics. A lot of these were things that I was just kind of curious about myself, and I feel like the people will be happy to hear from you on those topics for sure. But I really appreciate it, man. Good talk.
I'm going to keep working every day. I want to be smarter. I want to be stronger. I want to be better. And I hope you do the same.
Absolutely.
Best wishes. Thanks for inviting me.
Thanks for inviting me out here too. It was a joint invitation, I guess you can say, man. Much appreciated. Choose to conquer. I was going to ask you to kind of break that down for me before I even came in here, but you did in the interview, so I appreciated that as well. I didn't even have to prompt that one. Choose to conquer. Derek Moneyberg.